Now join palms and repeat after me. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. Keeping the palms joined. Palms down. All right. Good evening, everybody. Nice to see you all. Thank you for showing up. Anyone here for the first time? Those of you here for the first time, what brings you here?
My friend invited me.
And what did your friend tell you?
How amazing it is. I meant to come here a few years ago, quite a few years ago, but I didn't get to. I was caring for my husband.
Yeah.
He died last month, so
I'm sorry. Yeah.
So,
And you were told it was amazing, so the bar has been raised pretty high. I usually get warned, I get messages from people. So, well, welcome. Glad you're here. First time. What else? Some hand in the back. Yeah. What brings you all here?
For the program, when we come here every Tuesday.
Yeah.
So this is my first week that I get to come here and checking it out.
How's the program going for you so far?
It's going well.
Yeah.
It's like a sobriety and mental health type of program.
Yes. What are you learning?
I mean, I'm mostly mental health track in the program, so I'm just learning about different coping skills and just different ways to try to move my life in the direction I want it.
Yeah. Anyone else in here trying to get their life to move in a direction they want it to go in? You're not alone, my friend. Only bad news is some of these people have been trying to do it for years, So well, I'm glad you're here. Yeah, welcome to the madness. What else? Those are here for the first time. What brings you here?
My husband kicked me out of the house. And I thought, well, hey, why not?
Yeah, that's good. Not that you got kicked out of the house, but glad you're here. Time to reflect on why you got kicked out of the house, right? Yeah. I'm glad you're here. Yeah. What else? First time. Who's here first time and why? Yeah. Jim. Oh my goodness. In all this heat, you trekked all the way back here. It's probably been 5 years since you've been here.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
What did he tell you?
Take my shoes off when I come in.
Yeah, there you go. Jim is well trained. Yeah. It's funny, we get a good amount of, every time I see Jim, of course, now I think of Penny. And so we do a lot of interfaith work and a lot of work with San Diego Pride. And so that all includes St. Paul's Cathedral and right at on Balboa Park here. And it's a wonderful Episcopalian church. And so very long story, but a couple years ago when we got the Light of Pride Award from San Diego Pride and St. Paul's Cathedral, when Penny was presenting the award and Maggie went up and received it, she said, Penny, very Reverend Penny Bridges said, there's a lot of Episcopalians who are better Episcopalians because of their time at the Dharma Bum Temple. And I thought that was a really beautiful application or kind of introduction of how in one way that you can apply meditation and Buddhist practice to your lives, meaning people who come here, they're not coming here to be Buddhist. They're not Buddhist. They're Christian, Catholic, Muslim, Jewish, pagan, Mormon, or lack thereof. They're just stressed out, pissed off, trying to get through their day and, deal with life. So I think it's an opportunity to reflect on how do you use this practice in your life, whatever your life is, wherever your life is. It's not about abandoning one thing. It's not about jumping out of one thing and now Buddhism is going to be the thing that's going to save you and fix you and heal you. What Buddhist teachings are going to tell you, there's only one thing that's going to save you and fix you and heal you. And that's what? You, not me, but you. So good luck with that. Anyone else want to share why they're here for the first time before we start with the meditation practice? In the back? Yeah? No? Okay. All right. Well, we'll start with the meditation practice. Those are joining virtually, welcome. Glad you're here. Thank you for showing up. Feel free to say hello. There's a chat box on your screen somewhere. A couple things I'll tell you before we begin. Nothing's going to happen to you. You're not going to float away. You're not going to have any mystical, magical experiences. The mind that races all day long is not going to shut off. Don't judge your practice. Meaning, don't ask yourself, is this working or not working? Are you doing it right or wrong? We're just going to sit. We're going to breathe. You'll hear sounds inside the room, sounds outside. This is life. Life is filled with chaos. And this practice is learning to get quiet and still within all of the chaos. You're not going to, especially for those who are new, you're not going to go blank. You're not going to stop thinking. You're not going to think nothing. Your mind will continue to race as much as it always does. I'll say things periodically to remind you that you're lost in thought and bring you back to present moment. Posture, you just want to be comfortable. If you're on a cushion, often it helps slide into the front third, pushing the stomach forward. If you're on a bench or chair, just sitting up straight, whatever's comfortable for you. I will guide us as we begin, and we'll settle into a little bit of silence. Most important, do not expect anything. We're just going to sit and breathe. And starting with the eyes closed if comfortable, or slightly open. Mouth is open or closed. We'll start with taking 3 deep breaths slowly. And eventually, settle into a natural rhythm of the breath. Noticing the mind as it wanders, jumping from thought to thought. We'll start with gently guiding the attention, focus to the stomach or chest. And breathing in, feel them rise. And breathing out, feel them fall. Simply continue this practice, observing sensation of breath, expecting nothing but to sit and breathe. As the mind wanders, lost in thought, recognize it. Release that thought. Return attention, focus to the breath. Letting go of expectations. Letting go of judgments from your practice. Just sitting, breathing. Learning to be comfortable in stillness, in quiet, just sitting, breathing. And with the body still, rested, and the speech quiet, aware of all sounds, and the mind learning to settle, know what it's like to just sit and breathe. Knowing with each breath, there's nothing else to do, nowhere else to go, and no one else to be. Everything beautiful, exactly as it is. Sitting, breathing. Once again, taking 3 deep breaths, slowly. And as you slowly open the eyes, slowly beginning to move, and most important, with the practice of meditation, is to recognize how you feel now, immediately after. Compare this to how you typically feel throughout your day. Recognize the difference, if there is one. Ask yourself how you'd prefer to feel every day for the rest of your life. And realize however you feel now, if it's quiet, calm and still, or a busy mind, racing mind, whatever you're sitting with at this moment, it's not from anything I said. It's not from how we sit and hold the hands and cross the legs. It's not from the sounds around us or anything else for that matter. It has everything to do with your own mind and your own mind's reaction to an external condition. This is what the Buddha called pratitya samuppada, means dependent origination. This is the basis of the Buddha's awakening. The word Buddha simply means awakened. He was a human being, no different than any one of us, who began to understand why he suffered, why he got angry, sad, depressed, stressed, anxious. He began to understand the causal relationship of all phenomena. And what that means very simply for all of us, regardless of where you come from or what you believe in and where you think you're going, your whole life is filled with things that happen. You react. More stuff happens, more reactions. That's it. This practice is simply learning what it's like to respond to something quietly, peacefully, still. Because for most of us, the way you responded to the last 20 minutes is quite different from how you respond to every other 20-minute period of your day. And so all we're working on is closing the gap to where the way you feel now is closer to how you feel always. Just as driven, motivated, productive, successful, whatever that means to you in your respective lives. But with a mind that's steady, clear, focused, distracted by nothing, disturbed by no one. This is not an easy practice. It's not necessarily fun. It's not an escape, as often people think it is. It is direct perception into the present moment. And present moment, as we know all too well, is filled with conflict, chaos, difficulties, challenges. This is life. This practice is not about just assuming all of those things are going to go away. And they're not. But the question is, how do you respond to them? We spend so much time trying to change, fix, control, manipulate everything around us, hoping they do this, hoping they do that, wishing they would do this, wishing they would do that. So much time focused on the actions of others. And I'm not suggesting the actions of others are not important. They are. The actions of others have a huge impact on us, and we should not ignore it. And we should engage with it. When you engage with it, are you engaging from a place of anger and hatred, or from a place of love and compassion? And as I keep saying, the world is a mess, has been a mess for a long time, and will be for quite some time. But are you a mess? That's this practice. It is not ignoring what's around us. It is engaging with what's around us, but taking care of yourself. Because regardless of what's happening in the world today or at any time, we have to take care of ourselves. And people tend to fail to do that. They skip that part. Meditation is free. Buddhist practice is free. It's just sitting, breathing, becoming aware of what you think, what you say, and what you do in each moment. That's it. But it's a practice. every day. It's not a 6-week course. It's not 3 months. Then you got it all figured out. It's just day in and day out, trying to understand the nature of your own mind and what you think and what you say and what you do and the intention behind your actions. That's it. So with that, I'll pause. I always prefer to respond to questions, meditation, Buddhist practice, anything you're sitting with. And to those who are joining virtually, again, welcome. Feel free to say hello as you are. There's a chat box somewhere on your screen. If you have any questions, you can put them there. I'll do my best to respond. And we'll use the rest of our brief time this evening for questions.
This is a pretty basic question, but obviously it's something because we desire, and so the trick is to not desire, right? You wouldn't get into like work with it. But there's all kinds of things about like daily, like whether it's junk food or video games or whatever that I desire because it's pleasurable to me, I enjoy it. What questions should I be asking myself when it comes to which ones I should and should not be able?
On what was that last part you said? What question should be?
What questions should I be asking myself when it comes down to like, okay, should I actually be doing this? Like,
Oh, sure. With anything, food, video games, whatever it might be. Yeah.
they're
Like a checklist of,
I
yeah.
know, I assume that, but at some point was like, okay, well, I enjoy doing this thing, I enjoy doing this, is that still desire? Do you enjoy doing it?
Sure. So the question really is around, for those who didn't hear it, the teaching around desire leading to suffering, and then the question around what should you ask yourself, things you are desiring, whether it's food or video games, whatever it might be, what questions you should ask yourself to kind of check in with what's the intention behind the desire. And then the second part to your question is, in essence, what I'm hearing you say is, what's wrong with enjoying things, right? Nothing. The Buddhist teachings do not say, I'll come back to the desire part, but let me start with this. There's nothing about the practice or these teachings that say you shouldn't enjoy yourself. You look at the 4 Brahma Viharas: loving kindness, compassion, joy, equanimity. It's the 4 foundations of mindfulness, so very core piece. So enjoying things is important. Finding joy in life is important. But where your question is kind of confused is the wrong word, but we're a little bit off in the question, which is very common, is if I'm kind of inferring into what you're saying, it's like, well, I desire this because it brings me pleasure and I'm happy about it. So what's wrong with that, right? It's not about anything being wrong. Desire, the teaching to me around desire leading to suffering, the desire in and of itself is not necessarily the problem. So the Buddha also said there are healthy desires. Would you like to suffer less? Wouldn't we all? That's a healthy desire. Would you like to be kinder? Would you desire to be kinder to yourself and other people? Would you desire to be clean, sober, and alive every day? Would you desire for other people to not suffer? These are all wonderful, healthy desires because they all are supported and surrounded by love and compassion and wisdom, ideally, right? So the question for me really, when craving and desire arises, which it will every single day, from, even what you said, from the food to eat to video games, Netflix, what we watch, what we consume, who we talk to, whether we turn left or turn right, whatever it might be, we have desires every moment, craving every moment. They're not going to go away. This idea that all of a sudden, this idea that often people think, well, craving leads to suffering, and I'm into Buddhism, so I'm just going to end all craving and desire. It's not going to happen, right? The question is, and this is really what your question is, I just want to kind of expand on that a little bit. The question really is, what are you craving and why? And so to ask yourself, am I craving something because I'm uncomfortable at this moment? So if I am uncomfortable with the present moment and I want to escape from the present moment, I'm craving something that will take me away from the present moment. which is our inability to be with the present moment, to be with the emotions as they arise, the anger, the sadness, the stress, the anxiety, the depression. When those emotions arise, Buddhist teachings on impermanence tell us those emotions will come and what? Go away. They'll come back and they'll go away. Happiness, joy, excitement will come and go away also. But what happens is when these emotions arise that we are uncomfortable with, we often lack the ability to just sit and observe it as a temporary emotion, a temporary thought, a temporary, even if the temporary is like 3 months. You can be stuck in like a 3-month-long depression. I've been there. Probably everyone in this room has been here. You're here on a Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, right? We've all been there. So can we sit with that and not immediately seek and crave and desire to get out of that? So it's really, again, back to your question, ask yourself, why am I craving and desiring something? What is my intention behind the craving and desire? And is it beneficial? Is it healthy? Is it wrapped up in kind of this sense of self and ego and pride and me and what I get and what I need and me, which is where we are so much of our time? Or is it a benefit to others around us? So it's really just an honest reflection on why you're craving it, what you're craving. And, is it good for you? So, does that help? Yeah. What else? There's a question here. Why, again, there's so much I feel in my attempt to understand Buddhist teachings, just misunderstanding, lack of clarity around this. The question is, why is desire defined as suffering? Desire is not defined as suffering. The teaching ultimately is that desire leads to suffering. But as I just said, there's also healthy desires, healthy cravings. So, anyone ever desired or craved something and got it? Were you done? Were you okay with what you got? Anyone have an iPhone like 72 by now, right? Pretty sure whatever iPhone you had probably worked. I've yet to this day met more than like 2 people whose iPhones actually shut down and stopped working, forcing them, because God forbid we should live without a phone, but forcing them to get a new one. Usually our iPhones work just fine, but whatever service you have some new deal. And if you sign up now, you can get whatever. So this constant craving and desire is that it's never enough. What we have, we don't appreciate. What we have, we want more. What we have is not good enough. So it's not the craving. Again, back to your question, and I get it. Again, it's such a common way. Like it's in essence, I think, following up on your question, which is we often think that desire is suffering. No, desire is just desire. Craving is just craving. Whether that craving and desire leads to suffering is up to you. You can desire things all day long, but you're not going to get most of them. And if you do get them, can you just stop there? Do you really need more? We all have enough food, enough clothes. Most of us, my guess, in this room, have enough clothes to last us the rest of our life. Just going to stop buying clothes? Probably not. And this isn't about clothes being bad. If you're here for the first time, it's not about buying clothes is wrong. Again, it's not that buying clothes or having clothes is bad or wrong. It's us recognizing that we're never satisfied. So we want more. The shirts and shoes and hats and whatever, they all work just fine. We don't need more. And 5 miles from here, there's 10,000 people on the streets that would love your shirts or shoes or hats or whatever it might be. And then the question is, we have the desire for more stuff and things. What do we do to get it? What's our livelihood? What's our actions to acquire more? So it kind of expands on that. But what else? Questions? Yeah.
George here. I led a meditation over the weekend about forgiveness. And I was reading the script. But now I'm having to deal with some of those. I'm dealing with a lot of pain over my own, coping with forgiving and being forgiven by somebody else. It's just causing me a lot of pain. I don't know. That's just what it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's one thing to sit up here. I always say if I can do like half the stuff I talk about, that would be great. You know, it is a practice. You know, I mean, I know this stuff intimately so well because I've been miserable at it for so long. Right. So, I mean, I got diligence down for sure. You know, the wisdom, you know, no. Diligence, I got it. Right. But to your question around forgiveness, yeah, it's wonderful to lead a nice, loving, kind forgiveness meditation, and all of a sudden somebody's pissed off at you and you want forgiveness, and you're hurt, you know? So I think forgiveness is a couple things. One, looking at it both ways. One, and this is just general, with this idea of forgiving others, right? And this comes up a lot. The idea of forgiving others, having compassion for others who caused harm to you or anyone, does not mean what they did is right. It does not excuse them or justify or make it okay. If you harm someone and that person forgives you, it doesn't like cancel out the harm. So the idea of forgiving other people for things they have done is for you, right? That's the practice of forgiving others, if anything, is for us. And then sure, of course, it makes it easier if we're still interacting with these people or this person and they want forgiveness to be able to kind of heal and move on, then yeah, it is really beautiful maybe for that person to hear and feel that you truly forgive them. But ultimately, your forgiveness is making peace with yourself, I believe, for what's been done. But it definitely does not justify, excuse, make okay what anyone else has done. The second part about others forgiving you, it's not your responsibility. If we do things that cause harm, you know, we should explore what we did that caused harm. And other people forgiving us is up to them, just like us forgiving others is up to us. So the third piece is forgiving ourselves. Anyone in here ever done anything just really dumb? Right? Two of you. Nice. Thank you to the two honest people in the room. We've all been there. We've all done things that have caused harm towards others and towards ourselves. And so having love and compassion and kindness and forgiveness towards ourselves is critical. And, you know, my teacher always said, when you do something that causes harm and you're dealing with forgiveness, the first thing is to apologize if it's relevant, meaning if it's still someone in your life and it makes sense to apologize, then genuinely apologize. If it was something that, like, you know, 30 years later and all of a sudden you've had your grand Buddhist awakening and you feel crappy for what you did, you know, 30 years ago, they're probably over it by now and don't want to hear from you. So you genuinely apologize to turn to a friend and say, hey, I'm really sorry for what I did to that person 30 years ago. But like, feel that again. And the second thing is to recognize that, you know, what you did was not in line with what you're trying to practice: loving kindness, compassion, joy, etc. You know, all these teachings, generosity, morality, patience, all the kind of core Buddhist teachings, is to acknowledge that what you did really was not in line with these or the precepts or any of them. And that's why harm was caused. And the third piece is really important, really, is the vow, which gets overlooked a lot in kind of Buddhism in the Western world, because, you know, this vow type thing is, you know, it's a little too heavy for people, I find. But I also find it to be critical, because making a vow to not do the same stupid thing again is really important. You know, often, I mean, you ever done something and felt really bad and apologized, and then they forgive you and you're like, cool, now I'm going to do it again a week later, right? So maybe I was the only one who did that. But the idea is that actually vow to not do it again. A lot of us just keep doing the same stupid stuff over and over and over again. And we just hope everybody forgives us. So, yeah, just some thoughts on that. Yeah. What else? Yeah.
I'm a little confused about forgiveness.
Ah.
I think what I heard you say, one thing I heard you say was, you do not have to ask for forgiveness.
I didn't say that.
I
Yeah, go ahead.
If it happened 30 years ago, they don't want to hear from you. I
Mhm.
understand that very well. But if it was something last week, you can go ask for forgiveness.
Yeah, no, I definitely, yeah. So I definitely did not say don't go ask. I didn't say don't go ask for forgiveness. You might have inferred that from something the way I said it. But if it's something relevant, like still not relevant, if it's someone still present in your life and you want forgiveness, I find it, to me personally, absolutely appropriate to ask for forgiveness. Absolutely. I mean, to me, there's a lot of wisdom and compassion in play, the two wings of Buddhist teachings, wisdom and compassion. And there's a lot of wisdom and compassion in play, and having the courage, the wisdom, the intention of asking someone in your life for forgiveness. There's a lot of compassion there, and opening and vulnerability. The piece that maybe you got this from was I said, others forgiving us is up to them. That's what I'm getting at. So we can go to ask for forgiveness. If they choose to forgive us, that's up to them. Just because we've apologized and begged for their forgiveness, if they don't want to forgive us, that's kind of out of our hands. Yeah, but no, definitely, I think if it's still present in your life, asking for forgiveness is important. Yeah, so thank you for clarifying that. If I missed it, yeah. What else? Yeah.
Any teachings regarding making decisions? Because sometimes I got caught up on thinking too much, like what should I do? Should I do this? Should I do that? And thinking of all the different paths that could happen, and that gets my mind a lot.
Yes.
Gets in the way. So
yeah.
Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think, to me, the general idea of making decisions, I look at karma. The word karma is not what goes around comes around. It's not getting what you deserve. It's not people did this and they're going to get that. Karma literally means action. It is the law of cause and effect. We generate karma three ways: what we think, what we say, and what we do. So karma is not what we get. It's what we give. It's what we bring into the world with all of our thoughts, all of our words, and all of our actions. That's literally what karma means. So with making decisions, we are actually taking control, which is funny I use that word because I'm going to come back to that. We're taking control of our own karma and saying, I'm going to make a decision and go in this direction. So to me, the most important piece about making decisions, even when you said, there's so many outcomes, very often, what do we want to do with the decisions that we've made? We want to, the outcome? The best. Control. I mean, wouldn't you love to make a decision that worked out exactly how you hoped? Has that happened much in your life? Sometimes, right? So 50-50. My point is, and that was a bad way to ask the question, but my point is, we make a decision every moment of our lives. Which way we walk to life, big life decisions. We don't know what the outcome is going to be. So to me, the practice about making decisions isn't so much about the decision itself. It's more about the Buddhist teachings on non-attachment, which is I'm going to make a decision ultimately, and this might be a better response to your question, based on what I think is best in my life and for those around me. And I don't mean that in like a selfish way, but taking care of ourselves, right? Not ignoring yourself, but also understanding the decisions you make in many cases do impact, I should say, and have an influence on a lot of people, right? So when we make a decision, being mindful of the karma, meaning the ripple effect that decision is going to have on others, and then not attaching to the outcome, meaning sometimes we're going to make a decision and we're going to think like, man, this is going great. And sometimes we're going to make a decision and be like, that was the dumbest decision in the world. And then you make another decision. So our whole life is just a constant moment to moment opportunity to make decisions. But ask yourself what's behind it. And I think it's also a good opportunity to explore fear. Often people get kind of stuck, almost afraid to make a decision, which I've heard this years ago. I've always loved not making a decision is actually a decision, right? So, you're sitting in the middle of the road you got to go somewhere, or you've made the decision to not move at all. So, just make a decision and pray. Yeah. Yeah. And I think last thing I'll say, kind of tied to this compassion, when we make decisions, and oftentimes they're going to be wrong. Not wrong, but they're going to be decisions that don't work out how we wanted. And when that happens, which it will, have some compassion for yourself that says, I went into this with the best intention, my open heart, open mind, hoping for the best, and it completely flopped. And then have compassion for yourself and say, you know what, we're just human. So I think that like frozen thing, it's almost like people talk about being afraid of death, but what I hear a lot around Buddhist teaching over the years is more people are afraid to live. So don't be afraid to live, Yeah. Yeah. What else? There's a question here, comment. When I notice unhelpful thoughts, what's the reaction? Listen more, let go, reflect, understand intent, and how do you do that? Yeah, I'm not sure if that's a question or if you're just kind of making that statement, but when you notice unhelpful thoughts and have the reactions, I think it's important if we recognize that our thoughts or actions are kind of not so helpful, then if you see that right away, then just sit, just pause. Very often we don't recognize that our thoughts are going to lead to really harmful situations. But if we do recognize that the thoughts we're having are going to lead to a harmful situation, then try to pause and reflect on that and take time before making kind of that next move. Yeah. What else? Other questions?
Regarding that, can I share something?
Say again. Oh, yeah.
Recently, I learned some practice that there is some thoughts that don't like or that they don't do any good for you. You can just say, "I'm not my thoughts." That's
Yeah. Absolutely.
trying to remember, say, "I'm not my thoughts." Correct.
Yeah. That's very common. I am not my thoughts. And it's so many years ago, I heard say, the way they said it was, I'm not an angry person. I'm a person who is experiencing anger. And it's the same idea, is that we have an emotion that's very prevalent in our lives. If we're anxious a lot, then we just say, well, I'm an anxious person. And then we've kind of locked ourselves into this box that says, I am this. And it almost doesn't create an opportunity to be anything other than that. And yes, you may experience anxiety every day, a lot. That doesn't mean you are anxiety. You can have a decrease of these emotions. You can have an increase of these emotions. They change. So not identifying ourselves as that emotion or thought is really important. But yeah.
You experience a lot of anger or anxiety. How often should you meditate?
Yeah. No, great question. And we have a couple minutes left, and I'll close on this because I could go on this for like 14 hours. So the question was, and it's really important, I want to rephrase it relatively close to how you said it, but your question was, if you experience anxiety or anger often, how often should you meditate? That's your question, right? And I'm guessing for you, it's more anger than anxiety. Good guess? Yeah. Anger knows anger, right? Spent 20 years doing prison work. There's a lot of angry people there, and I can relate, I think it's really important, which is why I love the way you asked the question. You got to flip it around. It is not a matter of you're this angry person and that meditation is going to get rid of your anger. What's your name? Justin, I hate to break it to you, meditation will not get rid of your anger. So there's your answer. Not at all, right? But here's the thing. I share this often, but Karmalekshi Somo, Tibetan Buddhist nun for 50 years, wonderful teacher, taught here for years until she moved back to Hawaii. But she would say an angry person who meditates is just an angry meditator. So the reason I love the way you ask the question is it's like, you ever have a headache? You ever take Advil to get rid of the headache? Next day, headache comes back. What do? Take more Advil. Next thing you know, you spent the rest of your life taking Advil to get rid of the headache. Wouldn't it be better to figure out why you're getting the headache? And therefore, you don't need Advil anymore. So figure out the anger. And then you don't need the meditation anymore. The Buddha taught the root cause of suffering, the second noble truth. First one is life is dukkha, discomfort, angst, dissatisfaction. We all experience at varying degrees throughout our lives. And from everyday little stuff, we don't like our shirt, we don't like the latte, we don't like the traffic, to heavy trauma, death, loss, real heavy things, right? The cause of that, the second noble truth, the three poisons, is greed or craving, desire, anger, and ignorance. We overcome anger with compassion. So the practice for someone who is tremendously angry, who grew up that way, was not meditation. It was practicing compassion. Just helping people every single day, every moment of your life, as much as possible. If you do that, so now if you asked me, hey, Jeff, if you, Justin, said, hey, Jeff, I'm a really angry person. How much compassion should I practice to overcome my anger? I would say every moment of your life. And then if you want to meditate, go for it, right? Because then when you sit, you're sitting with compassion, not anger. Now, I will add to that. I do think, depending upon how everyone in here uses meditation, I do find value when you are angry, especially like really furious. You ever done anything really smart in those moments? No. That is a great opportunity to do a meditation practice, but not to fix the anger, but to sit with the anger. I'll tell brief. Does that make sense so far? I'll tell a brief story. The actions of the anger is the problem. The anger itself just makes you crazy. But the thought of anger does no harm to anyone. What does harm is the action. So years ago, a kid, 20 years old, Cole, intern at San Diego State. I was doing meditation there. He's working at KPBS. And I would go in every Monday. And he had done meditation now for like 4 weeks, So he came up to me and he said, hey, Jeff, I think I figured out how this meditation can help me. And I said, how's that? And he said, I was at a party Friday night. He's 20 years old, San Diego State student. He said, I was at a party Friday night and this guy was talking to my girlfriend. And I got really angry. And I realized I should probably walk away, take some deep breaths. I said, that's great. What'd you do? He said, I hit him. I looked at him and I said, congratulations. He's like, what? He said, I hit the guy. I got into a fight. I said, yes, but that's progress. You took a moment, in that moment of anger, to recognize you should walk away, take some deep breaths, calm down. You didn't. But 5 weeks ago, you never would have even seen a gap there. That gap can save your life or somebody else's life. Literally or metaphorically, whatever. So the using meditation to calm down, to be with anger, to not act on it is important. And having a daily practice of 5-10 minutes, whatever it is also important, but not relative to the level of anger you have. The level of anger really is going to drastically decrease when you stop thinking about Justin. And you stop blaming Justin, and you stop hating Justin, you stop thinking Justin's a bad person. You've helped people in your life, yes? And when you do, how do you feel? Good. And when you feel good, how does that feel? Great. So that's it, man. I mean, I'm telling you, 2003 started a Shifang Temple, Venerable Yizhur, the Taiwanese nun there, my teacher forever, said, Jeff, go help people. That's it. She didn't tell me to meditate. She didn't give me sutras. She told me to go help people. She didn't give me books. She said, go help people. Figure it out. Because when you're helping people, you're not focused on yourself. And the root cause of our suffering is because we focus on ourselves. And the Buddha said there is no self. It doesn't mean you're not here. It doesn't mean you don't exist. It just means you're different from how you perceive yourself. When you help people, it's not about you anymore. And when you help people, you feel good. And when you feel good, that's great. So if anyone needs help, ask Justin. He will help you. Signed you up. We'll join palms and close on that. May any merit gained from this practice be transferred to all beings in all directions. May all beings be at peace. May all be free from suffering. All right, before y'all head out, our host Eddie has a few announcements. Thanks, Eddie.
Thank you. Justin, I got some heavy stuff I need to go. Hello, everyone. I am tonight's host, Eddie. We opened the Dharma Bum Temple 19 years ago to introduce Buddhist practice to those who show up. Those who lead are not nuns, monks, gurus, or teachers, and are not looking for students. They are simply practitioners sharing their interpretation of the practice. Every night we have different classes led by different people from various Buddhist traditions. We have a recovery sangha that meets several times a week for anyone with addiction, and our food redistribution program is every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. We have classes and programs every day, and everything we offer here is always free. We have silent meditation Monday through Friday from at 8 a.m. and 12 p.m. The full schedule is on our website and also posted in the entryway above the shoe rack. We have a lending library. If you see a book you like, feel free to borrow it and then bring it back whenever you are done. Please straighten your seat or cushion before you head out. If a few people could stay to close and latch the windows, that would be helpful. Thank you for being here. We wish you well, and hope to see you all again.
Thanks, Ed.
Good night.